An update now on the Prime Minister's trip to the Middle East. Our National Bureau Chief David Aiken is traveling with the Prime Minister. He joins us from the Palestinian Authority's presidential compound in Ramallah in the West Bank. So David, fill us in on what we know about Canada's position so far as Middle East peace talks go, and what message did our Prime Minister take to the Palestinian president?
Well, certainly Prime Minister Stephen Harper is not going to come here and solve the Middle East peace crisis. He did come here to meet here in the presidential compound with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, and we asked a lot of tough questions about this. For example, does Canada recognize that Israel is illegally occupying the territories here on the West Bank? It's right there on the Canadian government's website that in fact the government of Canada does think it's illegal for Israel to occupy these territories, but you can't get the Prime Minister or any of his officials to acknowledge that in public. The Prime Minister saying he's not going to beat up Israel in public. Presumably he's doing it in private when he's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but he's not going to do that here, and he's never done that anywhere we've asked him about it. He is, though, we did sense some of the idea that he's sensitive to the criticism that he's too close to Israel. And in that press conference, he said that Canada strongly supports the peace process, that Canada's position is not an Israeli position, it's not a Palestinian position, it's a strongly Canadian position. It's a little difficult, though, to get exactly what sense that is. So they had some discussion about that, President Abbas and Prime Minister Harper, about the peace process. And again, they touched on the aid that Canada is going to give. And from here, Harper heads back to Jerusalem.
And David, speaking of Jerusalem, give us your sense of the reception Prime Minister Harper is getting on his first official visit to Israel.
Well, he's been really having a great time in Jerusalem. There's no two ways about it. At the reception on Sunday night, when he had the official welcome from Prime Minister Netanyahu, I have never seen our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, look so pleased, so happy, if you want to call it that. He was patting Netanyahu's back. There were smiles all around. They were joking. It really seemed the Prime Minister was very happy to be in Israel. It's his first official trip, of course. And Prime Minister Netanyahu, on his side, just gave him a gushing review. And notably, in terms of diplomacy, the Israelis put on a reception normally reserved for heads of state. Of course, Prime Minister Harper is the head of a government. Queen Elizabeth is our head of state. But sort of, I guess you could say Netanyahu kind of ramped it up to 11 for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. His arrival is front page news in the Jerusalem Post today. There's a front page editorial, big ads. The Israelis certainly seem very, very happy to have what they say is their unequivocal friend, Stephen Harper, in Israel.
All right, thank you so much, David. That is our National Bureau Chief and the host of Battleground on Sun News Network, David Aiken in Ramallah. And remember, we will have the Prime Minister's speech to the Knesset live right here on Sun News at 11:30 Eastern Time.